Hey folks, what's up? So it has been quite a day. Um, has nothing to do with you or anything, because we're gonna have some fun. It's our summer spotlight episode, the last one of the summer. Oh my god, tears streaming. Yes, I don't know why I'm doing jazz hands or jazz fingers. I have no idea what's going on. Anyway, look, we're gonna be talking about a really cool comic that I had a great fun time reading, but I'm gonna need some help with it. Just if anybody would like to just Oh, okay. That's probably Java. She's Java. Holy snap, you're here. Great. Look, glasses on. Love it. We're going to be talking about oh, don't give me that anime pushing up the glasses. Don't look. Are you excited to talk about the comic today?
Yes.
Okay, cool. But you know what? We need someone who is ins and outs, someone who knows about world building and comic book writing, and you know who it is? You know who should be here? Oh my God, Robert, you snuck in, and didn't even ring the doorbell. That's the last time we're going to use that. I swear to God, I'm sick of this whole summer. This whole gimmick's been horrible.
14 episodes.
Yes, soon to be 15 next week, but that's a whole other thing. So, look, Robert, are you excited to talk about this comic?
Yes, I'm hyped.
Okay, look, this was a fun one. There was a lot going on in this comic, but we're going to talk about. We're going to have a great time. Robert, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Job, are you ready?
Ready.
Are you ready to somehow see how I messed this up? Absolutely. Yep. So, folks, I'm ready. So let's get it going. Yeah, in about 3, 2. Hey folks, what's up? This is Summer of Geek, presented by the Hungry Bleak channel, and today we are doing our special summer spotlight, where each month we did a different movie or series or what have you. In June, Jabba had Black Cake. In July, I'm trying to remember the months. Jeez, I'm gonna tear this one up, folks. In July, we had the original 4400 series from USA. This month, we are going to be going with Musa, Lion of Mali. I got the name right. I thought I was going to mess that up because there were too many M's. Thank you. Golf clap all day. Wreck it. So this was such a great read. I absolutely had so much fun with it. Now, this was, excuse me, a collaboration between RAE Media and Giant Killer Press. What this is the story of Mansa Musa. Now, this was a name I remember hearing as a kid so much time. You have as much money as Mansa Musa, and says like that. For anyone who doesn't know who that was, Mansa Musa was the richest person ever exist. Jeff Bezos, meh, knock him out the way. Mansa Musa was that being. What we get in Lion of Musa is a bit of a different tale. It is the younger years, almost a prequel, let's say, before he became the man that we know. I love the fact that when I spoke to TJ about this, he said this is kind of like YN Musa. And I said, you know what? Yeah, he's definitely giving that energy. This was a great mix, I would say, between, let's say, Game of Thrones, and I don't mean to invoke this, but Power Raising Kanan, or any Power series, honestly. Because they all do the same damn thing. Connect, distro, what have you. But I love this. Now, I want to ask Jabba. Jabba, we don't talk very much comics with you. So this was exciting for me because I know that you are a comic book fan, because I saw you on your birthday and you grabbed up so many comics.
I still need to read them.
It was an absolute to be read pile.
That's literally, I still need to read them.
Yes, you absolutely do. That's another joke there, folks. So I wanted to know, what were your thoughts on Musa, Lion of Mali?
Well, definitely, as the art style definitely got me. Although it did kind of threw me off a little bit when each of the chapters changed for artwork. Kind of you recognize the character. I'm like, wait, I know who I know who Musa is, but I'm like, wait, who are the other ones? Like, let me go back again to double check. I'm like, okay, this one's this one and this one's that one, just like, to make sure. But I mean, in my opinion, anybody who could do like art styles like this, and also I liked the different regions that they were in, where you had some more like African style garments, and then some were like from like a pirate scene going forth. So like you don't really kind of like know where the setting is at because of like the different regions that people were in. So I love that about it, because like at first, like in the first chapter, it looks like pretty much Wakanda in a sense. That's like my best way to describe it. And then you get kind of like almost like a Pirates of the Caribbean later on in the other chapters. And then it's like, okay, so I'm like, I like this change here and there going on for it. So their style was great. Just like I said, had thrown me off a little bit, but it was a good read.
Okay. Robert, what were your thoughts on Musa Line of Mali?
So I really enjoyed it. I think the biggest thing that I took away from it was the scope of the story,
Yes.
that we're getting. And I know that there are many stories, especially nowadays, that are being told with us at the forefront, whether it's like novels or comic books. But I think this is a really good example of a fantasy story. Well, not even historical fantasy, actually. In a historical story with fantastical elements, done very, very, very well. Like Jabba was, talking about, you have different regions that we're going to. Everybody seems like they're in it for their own kind of self-interest, which is something that I think we've gotten used to, especially nowadays with some of the fantasy, things that we kind of take in. It's like a Game of Thrones, or even something like Lord of the, well, not even Lord of the Rings, but even there's like some political things going on in the background if you watch that Amazon series. But one of the things that I'm always asking for is a story as big as this, focusing on Black folks, but then also our culture, from the continent. So I really enjoyed it. I think that it works better, like you like you said, TJ described it as, this is Musa YN, and I'll just leave it at that, because we can get into specifically like when we start talking about the characters. But I will say, like, because I'm not as familiar with his, I guess, like his origins, this take on it really kind of like surprised me, because of how he is handled in the first few chapters of the book, of the graphic novel. But yeah, it's a big action-filled story with stakes, and I just had a good time with it.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that got me to was the scope. Like I knew, because I got to speak to TJ and Haru, the author, about this before like the book came out for the Kickstarter. And even when they were speaking about the different characters, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'll be there with Musa, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But the scope of the characters not just expanded, because I was like, oh wait, I like this character. I was like, oh no, I started going, oh, I like that. I like when I can't choose one that I like the most, but I also love the fact that as we got deeper into the story, we saw all the complexities
Yeah.
of everything and of everyone. And that was one of the things, was the depth and the complexity. And it truly was like these stories of like, like again, a Game of Thrones, or like a shell game.
Mhm.
Everybody's trying to influence something here or there for the, and it's all for their own goals. But you also saw that no one was completely good or bad. They're just complex, because you're seeing the backstories of everyone, and I'm like, oh, okay. And even between Musa and Suleiman,
Mhm.
you're seeing how they're both very dangerous, but in different ways, and how Musa was quick with the blade, but Suleiman was quick with, how can I get in here? was more quick with his tongue and his wits. Not that Musa wasn't, but Musa was that YN energy. I got this sword. I'm taking it. When he said, "Look, put the arrows down. Everybody just come at me." I was like, "Okay, and he sent his friend away, and he was like, "All right, so now y'all can come at me." Like he wanted all of that. He wanted all that barbecue sauce. He wanted all that smoke. He wanted all that seasoning. He wanted every bit of it. And that's what I loved. I couldn't pick a character. And Lady Queen Aminata, another one. I was like, at first I thought, oh, she's gonna be the character that I love the most outside of Musa. And then I saw everybody else, and I was like, can we all win? Can everybody win in this? And you know that they obviously can't. And this is just book one. So like I said, this actually takes us to the beginning of days of Musa when he's the Lion of Mali. But we find out that that title doesn't just mean him, because Suleiman is also considered a Lion of Mali, but maybe just not one as physically ferocious as his brother. I loved it. Also, the fact that historical figure, but that we're mixing, like I said, the espionage, although in this time it still is a form of espionage. And Robert and I are fans of things like this, but we always see it in more modern day, in those rooms where those decisions are made, where they send out troops and operatives and such like that, and players. But seeing it here and having almost like a sword and sorcerer kind of feel to it as well, we don't get very much of that with us. We have this. We have Chenga and the Jade Oblos. Shout out to Robert. And Milton, obviously. Sorghum and Spear. Shout out to Subsume. Dedra. So stories like this, but this one is based more on the historical fact. What was one of the key themes here in this book that you truly enjoyed? I think I'm going to keep going to Java, because again, we don't talk about comics with you, so I'm always interested in seeing what someone who doesn't talk about comics a lot but reads them thinks of it, because it helps me to enlighten me, and I'm like, oh, I didn't think about that. It's a different perspective. What was one of the themes that you saw in this book, or topics that kind of hit you? Because there was a lot that in here, but paced properly.
So for me, it was like one theme I would say is like loyalty in the book. And when we were talking about the character, we were talking about like, Musa, and I'm gonna butcher this man's name, his brother,
Suleiman.
Yeah, Suleiman. I'm like, I don't know if you guys might have caught it, but it kind of reminded me of like Prince of Egypt status with like Pharaoh, like Ramsey and Moses in a sense, because like the playfulness between the two, where like obviously with Suleiman he's more like Ramsey type, whereas like he's trying to be more serious, and Musa's like Moses, where like, oh, let's be playful, but like I'll still get the job done, and he's like no, we're trying to do what we need to do type of thing. Like I kind of got that by at least in the first chapter of the story, but then as you read later on, it's like, okay, no, Suleiman's kind of like more for himself, where it's like, all right, I'll just like, let my brother do like his thing, but like still keep watch on him. I'm trying to think who else. You know what I will say, I want to go back to sorcery real quick. I liked how the king was just sitting there just chilling while he's like watching everything in gold. I'm sitting, I'm like, bro, you lazy SOB, but I get that, I understand that. Like, and he was like sitting with like fruits in his hand, like, all right, you doing this, okay, next one, all right, they doing that one, all right, let's keep going, all right, we got here. But I liked how it wasn't like your typical way of looking at stuff where it's like a pool of like water or whatever, like a mirror or something. Like, no, it was like up in your face. It was like gold trimming. I'm like, okay, I like this. I like this aspect of it.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, like King's going to do that. King's going to sit back and just be like, let me see how this plays out.
But he was like television. He's like, all right, next.
He wasn't wrong, but yes.
Yeah.
What do you think, Robert?
I think one of the big things that stood out to me was self-interest. Everybody had their own agenda. You had Musa, who is portrayed as the hot-headed warrior who wants to fight for Mali, fight for his uncle. So that's his kind of self-interest. And also it seems like he's kind of a braggart, right? He wants to kind of spread the word about his deeds, like of being a great warrior. And then Suleiman is, he's more of the politician. He's, he's a guy, the man behind the scenes. He is his now. I think his interest is definitely, from Mali, but he starts to hear, he sees with his uncle. And then he learns from, I can't remember the brother's name, but the secret society of businessmen or people who are important, who have been controlling things. So he's like, now I want to learn. I want to. I don't want to say I want to learn about the distro, right? He's like, I want to learn more. Yeah, exactly. So he wants to be, right? He wants to be kind of the puppet master, right? He wants to delve more into that, so it becomes more selfish, kind of for him. The king is a mess. The king is really, he's one of those kind of complex, and he's kind of bordering like this antagonist level, but he is also, it seems as if he's gotten, he feels a little safe to the point where, like you said, Jabba, he could just sit back and use his magical gold abilities just to watch what's happening, right? And then and I will say, this is not a book for kids. So like there's a certain scene where he is there with the ladies and he's just like, oh, go away. And I was like, oh, okay, that's where we're at.
Yeah,
so and then
moment.
Right,
that was definitely a American moment.
And then we have White Aminata, and I'm hoping I'm hoping I'm pronouncing her name right, who I found myself siding with, right? As we got to that point. So her self-interest is just like, it's not even just revenge. It seems like it's more of, I do not want any other people to go through what I needed to go through. And I'm going to do that in the most brutal form possible if people get in my way. So like everybody, and that's what I always ask for stories that feature us. Like, when it's written by other people who ain't of our hue, sometimes it's like, it feels like we are not allowed to be complicated, right? We are written one note. And the thing that I love about this is, with the theme being kind of self-interest, it's complicated, with all of us, so that was the thing that stood out to me when I'm, kind of breaking down, these, at least with these represented with these four main characters. And I love that about it.
Yeah, that was it definitely, those are some of the strongest themes in there, I think. And having that self-preservation and having those things, it's also about I feel like it's about how messy family can be. Because at the end of the day, they were family, but they were messy as hell for everything that they did. And yeah, I start seeing everybody's points. Suleiman, the brother's name was Ibrahim.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Who, again, you see the depths of these characters. So I thought that he was just going to be a vendor in the shop, and then come to find out, he's like, "Hey, yo, I got you." And like there's these secret guards, everything, and he's got a whole lounge. He was laying back like this, like his arm was up. He was chilling. I said, "Okay, this is just the first installment of the story. Y'all got to calm down, but keep coming at me, please. But y'all relax, slow down, but keep it coming at me because this is awesome." And I love it. Oh, I do want to, excuse me, let me go through the credits for everything. So this was story is by TJ Sterling and Adeteyoshi. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. Hiru. Chapter 1 for art, we have Stanley Obedende. Chapter 3, we have Ray Anthony Height. Ray is just one of the best people possible. And Mario Torisu. I'm sure you're a very amazing person also, but I haven't met you, so I'm sorry. Chapter 4, we have Sean Damian Hill. Robert, you know a little something about Sean Damian Hill.
Yeah, just a little
bit. Editorial is Dr. Shamika Mitchell, and covers were from Kenan White and Karan Grant. Letters are Duran Bennett of And World Design. Thank you to Duran. I'm always going to say thank you to him. I've never spoken to him, never met him, but I'm always going to say thank you to him because he is who taught me what a letterer does. Because I heard him actually speak about it, and I was like, oh, I didn't know. So I will always give him credit for giving that knowledge in that panel when he was speaking about it. So thank you. Yeah, this was a book that the story was very deep with the family of it, because you see these two brothers and the uncle and it's almost like in a way he's pitting them against each other as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to see which one of you really wants it, but they both have different ways. But then you start to see a bit of a flip, because you see Musa, yeah, he's doing all this daring do wild thing, but he actually says, no, I have a plan and I have the goals I want to attain. I just happen to like doing these things also, but I do have a plan of it. And you go, oh, so he's swinging a sword because he likes it. He likes the physicality but he's also good at it. So if you're good at something, you're most likely going to like doing it. If you're a good fighter, a good swordsman, you're going to like doing it. If you're a good cook, you're going to end up like cooking. That's just kind of how it is. Where Suleiman knows he's not this great warrior, but his mind is a bit sharper than Musa's, just as sharp as his blade. So them kind of warring that way was kind of cool, and going in their different directions, but trying to go for the same goal, which is what I love. The action and the art. I mean, with this murderous roster of artists, what was and character design, I have to say about character design as well. Which character design did you like the most? Because I'm always a big fan of character design, how a character's drawn, why not, what have you.
For me, it's either between Stanley's, like from chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
I like that art style, and I'm trying to think. I'm looking through the comic book right now, just again. Oh no, I don't want that. Which chapter are we on? What is this? I think maybe during like the epilogue. I would say is the other art style I liked.
I kind of sometimes like when there are different artists in chapters, because each chapter had a different feel too. So that kind of helps to convey it a little bit more for me. I've read comics where it's been different artists like every 2 pages, and I stopped reading the comic because I was like, yeah, all right, y'all gotta chill, please. Help me out here, because it's giving me something different. But I kind of like sometimes it happens with like this. It's also a great showcase. To show you their art, because there are a couple of names that I'm not familiar with, but that I may have seen before, but I'm not familiar with. But now when I see their names, I'm going to look out for them, because I know they did the art in this book that I loved. What about you, Robert?
Okay, so I'm going to be straight up and say I can't choose one, only because honestly, I've worked with like 3 of the artists on this book.
I'm telling.
I'm looking at the I'm pretty sure if not 3, I know 2, and it's Sean, Mario, and there's a project coming up that I don't know if Wellington is on, so I'll just leave it at that. But I know at least 2, so it's difficult for me to choose one. What I will say in general is that we tying back into what we spoke about as far as with the scope, that's something I think that is captured very well in each of the different styles. The action is freaking spectacular. Because like sometimes, and it has a flow, right? Like you don't have like sometimes we describe like some of the worst martial arts movies. It's just like you have a person, you're standing like this, like a crowd of people standing around the hero, and then one person jumps in and one person jumps in. And so like in this, it seems like, you fight the first person, another person leans in, then Musa turns and deals with him. And it just seems like we say this often, that there's a flow, right, to the action. And I think that's done very, very well, no matter which artist is working on it. So that was huge. And, this is kind of what you call a sword and sandals epic, and the closest that I could think of, at least modern era, at least with film or TV, is something like The Woman King, where you have choreography of that. And then also think of like the original, like this is something my dad hit us to like way back when, the Shaka Zulu miniseries where you had, yeah, I'm showing my age, but I'm taking it back. But
Bro, all
with
this good.
if I'm looking for something that focuses on us, the Woman King is probably the closest thing that I could think of when I see the action as it's represented here. So that in the scope, I think, is captured very well with each of the artists. I think between the pencils, the inks, the colors, like this right here, this is like Muhammad Ali. This is that type.
Yes.
Just
Probably a reference for it.
yeah, let me talk my ish type of deal. And yeah, so that I that is the easy answer because I but and one of the guys I'm working with right now on the book, so I don't want to say like, God, everybody, he was hitting harder than the other one, but it is beautiful. And I do think sometimes that people do feel like the different art styles, like if you have it in one book, is kind of jarring. But I think what helps this out is that you have separate chapters, right? And it's like, to your point, Antonio, like it's not like every other page, which for a variety of reasons, if that happens, it happens. You would hope that it's not too jarring, but I think dividing it up by chapters helps that out a bit so that everybody can get their showcase and shine time.
Yeah.
So can I just say, just for my preference, just overall, like I don't mind like the artist changing, but I feel like if it's like the first issue of the book, like I would kind of want like just like maybe like one artist and like maybe do like kind of like a preview to like the next issue. So once at least we kind of get like familiar, because like like everybody's art style is different. So like I said earlier, where it was kind of hard for me to like remember who was who because of like different like styles and stuff like that. So like I don't mind it, but I just feel like if it's like a brand new story and you're introducing it, I would rather have like, okay, this is one artist doing all like all the pages, might be a lot for like the artist, which I get, and then let's say like the next chapter will have like it'll be like a preview of like the next artist doing like that issue of the second book.
Yeah, that's a fair thing, especially because like I'm used to that sometimes. And sometimes you will like in like if they're single issues, sometimes you will get a preview of the next issue in a comic, let's say, and they'll show you maybe the first or second page, what have you. But I think with this being a whole volume, like this wasn't single issues at all, like this came out like this, I think that might be why we got the chapters as they are, where they're more like chapters than say like a single issue. Which is that something that, and I feel like this is going to be the key word of this whole conversation, is scope. One of the things that really caught me was Mali.
Yeah.
The actual, like the beauty of everything. It became, I love when an environment or setting, what have you, like, I love when the backdrop, the environment setting, what have you, becomes a character, and it becomes so captivating that I literally, even before I read it, when I was just looking at pictures of it, I could feel the warmth. I could feel like the sand blowing by in a breeze. It has that feel to it. And it became this thing where I was looking at the characters, but I was looking in the background because there's such hustle and bustle, especially in the marketplace, where it takes you back to those movies where you would watch and you would see something like, perfect example is the Indiana Jones. That market scene. We all know about, the sword versus gunfight, obviously, because that's hilarious and that's a genius scene. But the hustle and bustle that's there, whenever we see a movie or a series like that where we're getting a marketplace, there's so much going on that's why it's easy for a character to maybe lose something or to get something stolen or to try to run away from whoever's chasing them. Here, there was so much going on, and the beauty of it and the feel, and it felt like a marketplace. You felt like you could hear people haggling in the back. My man, what's my man's name? Umar, the dude that the salty dude that got beat up by Aminata, when he's trying to like haggle, and he's like, "Oh, well, you know what you're gonna get? You're gonna get these low prices. That's what I thought you were talking about." And the way he said it, I felt like I was in the marketplace with that. Even when you're in like the castles and everything and like the royal chambers, you feel it. there's just they didn't just focus on the characters, but they focus on background and setting and the story there. Because I'm looking at it and I'm like, yeah, but I want to know what's going on in the back. I want to know what's going on in the rest of the city, because there's so much going on. And there was a lot going on in the rest of the city, which plays into everybody kind of being somewhere different, trying to attain the same goal. Robert, you mentioned Queen Aminata. What did we think about her character and her motive? I know that you sided with her, but I'm not even sure how to even put this. She kind of was giving off Killmonger vibes.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at that.
Yeah, I mean, literally. So literally, she's like burn it all down, and in the city that they were in, she was literally doing that, right? So, I even though she is probably my favorite character from this, that's not without observing the fact that she is doing some pretty extreme stuff. At least when we are introduced to, when she gets to the city, and I know it begins with the M, but I'm trying to remember what it is. But
Molly,
I think it's that complexity, especially when you give her chance to tell her story, right? It becomes less of this like, I just want to burn stuff down so I could steal it, steal and kill. And there's something behind that. So that's one of the reasons why she stands out to me. I also love her character design, like the job you mentioned, like she's a pirate, she's a bandit, right? That's what she vibe wise, or at least she looks like. And then she has the arm, right? I think it's like a metal. So there, it's everything just kind of works about her, for me. But I do hope that when we get book 2, that we get more of her story and how it ties into Musa's ascent to becoming who he becomes. I think because she can be a solid ally, But yeah, she was. I enjoyed her.
What about you, Jabba?
I'm gonna piggyback off of her because I feel like with why am I blanking with names now? I'm so terrible with names. It's probably the old age.
Thank you. That means I'm even like that. I'm very decrepit.
You're
I'm older than you. Thank you.
Yeah, I have to go back to her arm because, like, I don't know if it's like futuristic tech or if it's magic or what. Because the way Molly is set, it's like it could be like how, and I'm a reference because it's like the only way I could think about it, like how Wakanda is, where it's like, okay, it looks like it's more like a not futuristic, but like, it has enough tech to do it, but then it's like you have parts where like, okay, you see some random pirates and like, it's like old school pirates going on, but then you see her with a mechanical arm. It's like, okay, do you got magic or do you have tech? Or do you have both? What is it?
Yeah.
I started figuring the arm was more like steampunk.
Or that. We don't know.
Which I'm good with, like, because I like genre match. It's similar to Yasuke.
Yeah.
Where that like he was doing that and all of a sudden there was mechs. I was like, wait, hold on. And I was like, no, wait. I'm good. Yeah. Keep it coming.
That Bass Reeves trailer we got.
We'll talk about that another time because that's a whole other episode, brother.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that they had like some magic. They have excuse me, and some of that steampunk kind of style. That I loved her design. I'm also a fan of pirates.
Oh, there you go.
Assassin's Black Flag all day. Thank you.
Yeah.
I feel like she, once you get a bit of her backstory, which you can kind of reference because of the time and because of them calling her white Aminata, and then you see what happens, and then you go, but you understand, but then you go, yeah, you know what? Burn all that down. Burn it all down. Get whatever you're looking for. Get whatever you're looking for. But it's also the fact of I love seeing a female, but especially white female pirates. I mean, excuse me, because thinking of her name is white. Female, but black female pirates. There's something about having that strength of leading a whole crew of men on a ship and then taking over other ships. I just really, that just really hits me. There's also the fact that when she purposely said, "We're only killing the men, don't kill any of the women or children," and I think somebody got mad at her about it, and she was like, "What?" And then when they got there, you see that scene of that young woman on the beach, I want to say, and she's dead and she's bleeding, and the look on her face, drawn explicitly, just wonderfully. You see that regret, and so, and despite what she says, you see that regret, that sorrow, and that this is not what I wanted. And then she makes sure to say, "There's no more blood is going to be shed here. We will make sure that they are fed, they're properly clothed, and that they're okay." And I was like, yeah, like that, because even though you're a pirate, and pirates are known for doing some really debaucherous things, obviously, because they're pirates.
Right.
Yeah.
But because of what she's been through, her seeing that, she was like, you know what? That's not what we want. We will only kill the men. We will leave the women and children. And then she sees her, like that young woman there, and it broke her. Like, I don't want to say broke her, but it made her go, maybe I need to tweak my ways a bit to get what I want, but I want to make sure that these people are taken care of. So again, that complexity of the characters is.
I think the other thing specifically with her is, like, we talked about her, the name that she's given to be more disparaging. It kind of brings up the discussion of colorism, right? And then, and especially with, I'd say two casting choices that we've had in Black geekdom. This is something else that kind of ties into something that we are still grappling with now. The other thing, and it was specifically with her, is that her origin, her tragic origin, it goes into the slave trade of the time, and how some of what the implications could be for the uncle, right? As far as, like, was he, how could he have possibly been a part of something? And that's what I think Musa is like, okay, I'm gonna look into this, right? So, like, let's stop scrapping and let me see how my family got the part of the ways that we got our riches, our power. So I think with her, it ties into two, I don't want to say controversial, but two big things that some of which we're dealing with now, but then also of the time. So yeah, so I think she's like an important character on a few fronts, right? Yeah, and I like that. I like that because we don't get introduced to her to, like, the second or third chapter, right? If I'm So yeah,
I think
so
it's
that
chapter.
I want to say it's more the second chapter we get into her more, but then in the third, I want to say we start seeing more of her.
Gotcha. Okay.
Developing, like, more of like more of her being like what's the word? She's like, I can't. This is a horrible week. More of her character being coming out, I want to say.
Yeah.
But those are very good points. So too, because of that colorism, and what she's going through. Because the white Aminata isn't just her thinking about her father, quote unquote, isn't just that, which is why she gets so angry, but also because of how was she treated as a child. And she's not only just going through that, but when did she lose her arm?
Yeah.
And an eye.
Exactly, the eye. I figured the eye was in, like, a sword fight, but that was my own headcanon, because that's what. But I was looking at the arm, like, when did she lose that? Because when you see her as a baby, she has both her arms. So even that, like, yeah, she has a couple of different things going on. She's going to be a character that I feel is, I mean, she's already a favorite, but I think she's going to be one that is definitely probably going to get her own one shot, maybe her own arc or her own thing.
Yeah.
Crossing my fingers, hopefully. Yeah, because yeah, she brings up a lot, and I think because that guy was a pirate and such, like was this horrible person, I think that's why she tries to be the pirate that she is, having some type of moral code, if possible, for a pirate.
I mean, I think from like movies that we've seen, like I'm gonna use Pirates of the Caribbean just because they have like their own set of rules and like regulations amongst like the pirate society. So I'm pretty sure she probably has the same thing too.
Yeah.
I would hope so. Yeah, and we also don't see a lot of like I said, black pirates in general, even though there were black pirates,
Yeah.
which I find incredibly interesting because I'm like, oh, I would love to hear see that type of thing. Black pirates, I would be all on that. That would be when black pirates fighting against like slave traders.
That's the DLC for Assassin's Creed Black Flag. Literally.
I know that he was killing slavers. I didn't know that he was like,
I believe
want a whole ship.
It's Freedom Song, right?
Yes.
Is that the name of it? Yeah.
I want a whole ship of just former slaves and just going after them. But that's my own thing. Anyway, speak that into existence. Somebody get the idea and they'll do a much better job than I would at that storytelling, please, Robert. You can make it a space. Oh, that you know what? Let me stop because I'm about to just fill Robert's head with a whole story, a whole idea. Like, Robert, this is what you got to do. This is New Barbados. It's a whole planet called New Barbados and everything.
Not a bad idea though. I'm just saying, like.
I mean, it's a good idea.
I'm just saying. Anyway, yeah. So again, Jabba, because we don't get to talk comics with you very often, so it's very interesting for me to hear your thoughts. With this being a historical figure, like an actual person that existed, which I love, how would you kind of compare this to other comics that you've read where it's more superhero-y? Is this a better feel for you and just for you?
Wait and see for like book 2 because I mean going in like from like Invincible to like Injustice like series that I've read, they're out there, but like they've are like both of them are out there with their stuff. So like with it being more personal and like a close to home thing, I would have to see, and I'm pretty sure it have like its own feeling for it. So I can't really compare the two.
Well, no, but I just meant like how you feel about it, like not in comparison like which one's better, but how do you feel about it compared to more like the, let's say, absolute books, if you read any of them so far, or Invincible. I mean, you're definitely used to all the bloody books, obviously, because you picked two of the bloodiest books possible, Invincible and oh my gosh, what was the name of that book? Jesus.
What, Absolute Batman?
No. The ones you just mentioned when you said Invincible and Injustice. Injustice. Yeah. I mean, they made like a Mortal Kombat like game out of it. I mean, that's got to be one of the bloodiest games possible.
Yeah, go play it.
I tried. I'm not good at those games. Street Fighter is the only fighting game that and Virtual Fighter, but Virtual Fighter is so damn old and slow. It like anybody could be good at it. Don't make a difference.
Terrible.
Just saying.
No, but other than that, like I like having a comic book where like it's about us, and then also gives me a chance to actually learn about Musa, because I didn't know who Musa was.
It's not a when I was a kid, it was a name I heard a lot because people would just say, "Oh, he's got more money than Mansa Musa," and I just thought it was a funny name. I thought they were making it up, but then when they were like, "No, this is an actual person and this is who he was," I was like, "Oh, wow!" And I hadn't heard the name until I saw like the title of. I was like Musa, and I was like, "Is that Mansa Musa?" And teacher was like, "Yeah, we're doing a comic," and I was like, "Oh, that's not what I was expecting at all." But thank you, that's awesome. that's one of the reasons why I am a fan of doing books about like historical characters. And if there's a gap in their life anywhere,
Mhm.
have fun, go wild with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you'll end up hitting people who may not have heard the name.
Mhm.
And then they can, read up and learn about it and then bring that name back into the lexicon, which I hope that we would, because I don't want to hear about Jeff Bezos. I want to hear about Mansa Musa.
Yeah, because in my opinion, like the only time I heard, like at least I'm gonna say as a term, like Musa was technically incorporated with like the swords, like Japanese are the Muramasa swords, because of
Okay, yeah.
because that's like one used if you play enough like RPGs, that's like there's gonna be some sword named after that. No matter what, no matter what RPG you play, that's gonna be a sword named after it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a famous Japanese sword, so that's why I would hear the word of Musa from. So I'm like, oh, this is not this. I'm like, oh, this is something different. Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's fair. I never, any RPG, but there's at least one sword that will kill you when you use it, and that is a Muramasa sword. Yeah, there was an anime like all about Muramasa swords too. It was actually kind of cool, but it's old as hell and nobody talks about it anymore. Anyway, it is, but it was just so cool. Robert, as a comic book writer and storyteller and world builder, the exact opposite of Galactus. How did you feel about the writing and story aspect of Muramasa?
It works. I mean, from the first to last chapter, we talked about for a story as big as this and stories like this, as far as this is a Sesame Street word of the day scope. As we keep mentioning that, sometimes I worry about if I'm reading something like this, losing the characters, because I think sometimes people get like more excited about like, okay, these are the various aspects of this world and it's very amazing, you can do it. And then, and then they get into the cultures and then the backgrounds and this and that. And it's just like, that's all cool, but you have to care about the people that live in this world, right? So I don't think that they get lost. I think, maybe because there's a historical anchor of Musa, and then also the world that they're this isn't like so fantastical that it's like I say Middle Earth, right? This is Africa, right? This is an actual place, right? So, but I do think that they, even with as large of a story that they're telling, that we don't lose the personal stories that need to be told. We spent a lot of time focusing on Musa, his brother, his uncle, Aminata, and that's what matters. So as far as storytelling, from a storytelling's perspective and writing, I really enjoyed it for that. One of the things I always tell people is like, sometimes I'll be at a show and then you'll have someone who's like, man, I got this great idea and this world is like, it's amazing, da 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 da. And I'm just like, so what about your characters, right? That's the thing. Like, they get more excited, and it's easy to get lost in the world building. And I don't think that, that's happened here. The other thing that really stood out to me, and you know me, is the dialogue. Like, they were like, this shit was just working, for like the conversations. It puts you into that time period. And then also the kind of the grandiosity, when that's needed. But then also there's a scene in here where the two brothers are just talking in the library, and from that you see how different they are, right? Musa doesn't have to say, I'm a warrior and I just kick ass, and Suleiman is like, well, I am the more researcher politician. It's just it's subtle, but I think like I said, the dialogue is really working for me. And like one of my favorite scenes being Aminata and Musa towards the this, where I was just like, damn, I wish I wrote this, that type of shit. So it was good. And I mean, I would like toss my hat in for Aminata, spinoff, but that's just me. But so from story, plotting, and dialogue, it just works. So I that from a writing perspective.
The thing I liked about the dialogue is that it kept me in the scene.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sometimes dialogue can keep me out of a scene and I only hear one voice because it doesn't vary from person to person. It's all the same. So it feels like I'm reading two word bubbles. That's just like one long out sentence, like just one long drawn out sentence. Where in this one, I could hear each person's voice, the cadence, the way they spoke, sometimes the inflection too.
Mm-hmm.
And that kept me glued in because I felt like I was actually listening to a conversation instead of just reading lines.
Yeah.
Which is what happens. That's a very good point of it, and the pacing of it. And even from different scenes, you got the different feel of it. And that's a beautiful thing. It's hard to do in, because you might have the idea of, this, they're saying this, but to actually have the voices come out so differently, in such a fluent manner too, because the way they were speaking was so fluid. There was like no breaks in between. They were going at it. And I think it's also because some of it is the familiarity of them, of the character when they're speaking. So it feels genuine.
Mm-hmm.
Like you were saying, when they were in the library, they were just having a conversation.
Yep.
And that means something instead of them posturing, like you were saying, like posturing, like, well, this is, and, being like almost like watering it down, like people wouldn't understand. I'm the warrior. We just saw him kick all this ass.
Right.
We know we don't need that. We don't need my sword and swinging mighty. We don't need it because we just saw him whoop how many people's asses.
Yeah. And then pull out the Dragon Ball Z type of like the abilities is something that I need more explanation on, because like when I was good with him, just like he was cutting throats, right? But then it was like whoosh, I was like, what is going on? So I don't know. That might have been something I missed.
Well, that I love because the golden rule that they called it. I want to say, I love that. I have no idea what it is.
Right.
Maybe you'll explain it. Maybe you won't. Maybe you'll explain how that my lady got a steampunk arm. Maybe you won't. I'm good. Sometimes I don't want that stuff explained. Just give it to me because I'm enjoying the story so much. They could probably just show somebody sitting on the side of the road, like just like with like a flame and like some type of like cast iron skillet, like frying up dinosaur eggs. I wouldn't care. I would be like, season it. Just make sure you season it.
Yeah.
That's it. So we only have a few more minutes left. Final thoughts on Musa, Lion of Mali, Java.
Well, the way it ended, I'm not gonna have the uncle watch TV anymore. So we need somebody else to watch TV to keep it going.
Deep cut. Jesus.
I'm just saying, like, I want because his power was interesting, and I want to see more of that. And I want to see who takes it on. So, like, I want to see somebody else watch TV in gold and how they use it. And they might use it differently, so like you never know.
That's a valid point, though. It's a valid point. Robert.
Before I forget, when you said no brakes, I was like, all gas, no brakes. Anyways,
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Sorry.
No wrestling talk, but I enjoyed it. I am looking forward to more. I also do like the idea of getting the completed book. Like this is like the trade, which was huge. So yeah, I just continue building, this world and expanding the story, and I'll keep going up.
Yeah, I'm excited by this. I love RAE Media doing more collaborations. I love building that community in comics and having like, hey man, I got this idea. What do you think? Yeah, cool. Let's check this out. Let's talk. What have you? And coming up with this because previous to this, we had Shattered.
Yeah.
which was from Dream Fury Comics and RAE Media. So if this is a continued trend with RAE Media, I'm here for it. I like also the fact they went from RAE Comics to RAE Media. That tells me a lot right there, expanding the scope. This was an incredibly fun story, entertaining, but also I love, like I said, the intrigue, the espionage in this time of, I think this was 14. So I'm trying to remember the year this was
14th
from.
century. So yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. 14th century, and I love it. The characters were dynamic and dope and in depth. All the complexities that were there, and like you were saying, Robert, you don't lose the characters, even though the city is beautiful and all the different regions. You still keep the characters because the city becomes a character. In its own way, but you still keep the characters, and they're interesting in there. And like I said, you thought my man was just going to be a damn so mosquito, sorry, was just going to be a damn marketplace character, and he ends up taking Suleiman into this like den of the cabal, and we're gonna find out what's going on. And I love that, and having characters who are all so well spoken and in depth and in charge of their little piece of the world until all those pieces start to collide, and then what happens. I'm here for it. I love the fact that it was collected as well. I love that. Give me more of that. Give me more trades, graphic novels, hardcover, because this I actually got in hardcover because the hardcover and the cover is actually, I mean, everything about the book is beautiful. The hardcover is just, I'm starting to get into hardcovers more now because I want to have something on my coffee table, but I still have the digital so I can read them. But this was a story that was completely needed. I'm gonna be honest with you. This was a story that was needed. I think they might be doing some more of the story, but also maybe a spinoff of a couple of characters, see where they came from or see what they're doing outside of this. I wouldn't be mad at that at all. So this was a great one. I wanted to just end this a couple of minutes short because I wanted to say one thing. Unfortunately, this week we lost Dolly Parton and Tim Curry. Before this, we lost Hayden Panettiere. That was last week. Was Hayden. Three incredible stars, and from all accounts, from what I can see, people in general, just human beings. Hayden Panettiere, save the cheerleader, save the world. We all knew that had us in a chokehold. And then reemerging in the Scream films was just perfect. She has such a long, illustrious career to be so young. We literally watched her grow up. Yeah. We literally watched her grow up from Remember the Titans to Law and Order SVU. Olivia, that episode still kind of terrifies me.
Even two different episodes too.
Yes. But I just remember that one where she was that little girl. She was just lighting stuff on fire, and her mommies were arguing it. Yeah, that was terrifying. Dolly Parton. What do I have to say?
It's Dolly.
It's Dolly Parton, literally Dolly Parton. We all know Jolene, obviously, yes. But we just do Dolly Parton was just very honest, true to herself. Like, you know, when, and I'm not trying to be funny when I say this. She was known for blonde, country music, and her boobs. That's not me trying to be funny. I'm not trying to, and she played into that. You know, but she also had the sweetest Southern accent. It was almost like drinking ice cold sweet tea. I'm not trying to be funny. Literally. And from what I can see and understand, and all the things that I didn't know that she did, one of the sweetest people possible.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And she was for us. And I didn't know how deeply she was for us. I was like, damn, she was down. If there had been a cookout.
You want to know how for she was down? Like, she wasn't even mad when Whitney Houston covered her I Will Always Love You song. She's like, as long as I'm making money off of her, keep it coming. Why am I going to complain?
Exactly. She wasn't hating or anything. And she was just a very cool. Like, when you saw her on camera, she was all upbeat. Like, she brought you in. Even if you didn't care what was going on, she brought you in. And then Tim Curry. That one hit me a little harder than the other. They all hit me, but that one hit me a bit harder.
Yeah.
It's Tim Curry. One of the best to do it. Rocky Horror Picture Show. A Captain Hook on Pan and the Pirates. I think the series was called. The Darkness and Legend. Thank you, Robert, for reminding me of the damn name of the movie. Home Alone 2. Clueless. Clueless, Jesus. Clue. Yeah, see? Wait till the end of the show to mess everything up, Antonio. That's how it works. Get him in and then completely blow everything up.
He was Texas in Fern Gully. That's one of like the most fabulous, and I mean that in the awesome, because like even his villain song was like, all right, this man has some sass, and the infamous Pennywise.
Oh my God! Oh, he could do it all, and he gave everything. And I don't use this word very often, but he gave everything this panache. He gave it this quality. Whether he was singing, whether he was dancing, whether he was funny, whether he was sinister, whether he was filled with drama, or whether he was being campy, or whatever the role was, he absolutely bodied it. And these are three people that we will miss.
Yep.
So save the cheerleader, save the world, Dollywood. And this is one that probably not a lot of people know or hear, but I always love this when he would say it on Pan and the Pirates. Odd Bob's Hammer and Tongs. As a kid, I would say that continuously. Nobody knew what the hell I was saying, and I loved it because I knew it was him. So thank you to those three icons. You will be missed, but we can always go back and watch and relive the moments that you made us smile, made us laugh, made us cry, just made us feel good. That's it. So on that note, folks, next week, Wednesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it is our wrap-up episode for the Summer of Geek. There was a lot going on, and we have a lot of stuff to talk about. From people swinging from webs to jewelry wearers who are intergalactic police, to someone coming back to the stage and making people laugh once again. There's a lot going on this summer, and we're going to talk about some of our favorite things. And on that note, I am Antonio Palmares, aka the Hungry Bleak, the hungriest man in the room.
You go Jabba Chan with the braids. The braids.
And glasses.
And I'm Rob the Rider.
Everyone have a very good evening. Enjoy the rest of it. Drink water, take your vitamins, and take your meds, whether it's for physical, emotional, or mental ailment, because we want you to be better. And shout out to Michael Threets, Michael the librarian. Glad you're doing better. You definitely have inspired a lot of people to look at themselves and try to be, a bit better than how they're feeling. It matters. Thank you. Y'all have a very good evening. We will see you all next week. As always, I am angry, as always. But I'm going to say something positive. Do a wonderful thing. See you all next week. Bye. 2 buttons. I can't stand it. Every week, 2 buttons. Just